Hey everybody, it's Jimmy and Bill. So today we got a good one. We didn't pre-read it again.
No, but I'm looking at the title.
I know, I'm looking at the title too.
Oh,
So
my.
this article is about rising number of men in the U.S. don't want to work. So, hey, it could be an interesting article. We'll see if we agree or we disagree. But I'll tell you one thing. In my opinion, obviously I'm 57, but I know some younger people in the 20s, early 20s that really don't want to work. The work ethic has changed a little bit, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I'm not saying everybody in that age group, doesn't want to work, but...
Well, I guess I'm just kind of like, well, how do you feed yourself?
Well, live off the parents?
Okay. Yeah, I'd be like, dink, you're out. All right, let's read the article.
All right, read the article. Hey, in the meantime, if you like these kind of articles, do me a favor, subscribe. It's greatly appreciated, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you for it.
All right, in a new study by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it found that a rising number of men in the U.S. are opting out of work. The researchers found that only 89% of working men have a job or are actively looking to work. To compare, in 1950, that number was 97%, according to the study. In the early 1950s, around 96% of working American men between the ages of 25 and 54 were working full or part-time jobs, while that number has dropped down to 86% in recent years.
All right, so that was a mouthful.
Whew.
So basically, the pandemic, okay, like people started working from home. They got used to not working, right? They got a lot of free money.
Got some freebies, yep.
Yeah, and because of the price of everything and because of inflation, people are just saying, I give up.
And they're just not going to work?
I don't know. Maybe they want to work part-time. Or maybe they just want to make YouTube videos.
But that's still work.
I know, you're making YouTube videos, there's a lot of work. But it's true. I just think people in the 1950s, it says it right here, according to statistics, 97% wanted jobs. Now less and less people. Even my son, okay, he has a successful company and he started, but he tried working at a company, working in a cubicle.
Yeah.
He wasn't a fan of it. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to go work 9 to 5 and just be in a cubicle all day and then just leave. It's not for everybody. So he wanted more of a freedom and be able to travel, so he started his own company. So I'm all for that. But it's still work.
But he's still working. He's probably working harder for his own company than he is just clocking out at 5.
Well, think about it. You're a realtor, so basically you're working 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I'm a home inspector. Look at yesterday. Yesterday it was like a 12-hour day.
You were out all day. You were busy yesterday.
Yeah, it was crazy. So you guys tell us, why do you think younger people just don't want to work?
Yeah, I'd love to know.
Maybe it's in this article.
Yeah.
According to the experts, as fewer men are able to financially support themselves, there's a long researching economic, social implication that goes along with it. What does that mean?
I don't know. Let's see. Like, that doesn't...
The U.S. has a major issue of prime age men giving up permanently existing the labor force. Robin Brooks, a senior fellow policy research firm, the Brookings Institute, and a former chief economist, wrote on X. What does that mean? What's striking about that doesn't get talked about at all. Not the mainstream media, not the economists, even though it obviously feeds the political radicalization. Is this a political piece? So basically, people, young men, just don't want to work? Or they just want something easy to do?
Well, I guess it goes back to, because it says, I just rescan that because it doesn't make sense. So maybe this whole thing is bumpkiss anyway. But like, according to experts, fewer men are able to financially support themselves, so they just say, I'm not going to work.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, that doesn't even make that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can't afford to, now you just like, oh, I'm going to sit back and do nothing? Or are they saying what they're not kind of alluding to in this article, or Are people just going, well, I have to work X hours
to just
I'm
pay my
busting
bills,
butt just to barely scrape by, and if I just stop doing everything, I know the government's going to pay for my, I get my free health care, I get my free phone, I get my free living and things like that.
Oh, and they can pay off my student loans or cancel my student loans.
Right.
Maybe it's like that.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Like, that's the only thing I can think of, because, I mean, how else are you going to eat? Like, you can't live in your parents' basement forever.
But, there's this thing.
I guess you could.
People are leaving their parents' house at a much later age, or they're moving back in because of the cost of rent and the cost of buying a home and everything.
I know I guess you could really, with statistics like we've talked about before, you can twist a statistic and a number to make it fit your need, I guess, if you don't know the baseline. We're only reading the article, so.
But even before, when I had employees, not for this company, but for another company, I heard some young people, and they would work a couple of days and then, or they just wouldn't show up.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, how do you not show up for a job?
Yeah. Oh, I hear that all the time.
They're like, oh, wasn't for me.
Right.
I was like, yeah, but proper etiquette is just, call, say it's not for you,
Yeah.
Don't just not show up. I would never think of that. But go ahead.
So here, maybe they'll address it in this little section. It says, there are many reasons that could have caused the drop, one of them being the pandemic. In 2020, the number of working men was at 78%. Since the pandemic, the number recovered to pre-pandemic times, but still remains far below the numbers that we had in the 1950s. Another factor could be men's declining participation in higher education. While women were once excluded from universities, they now outpace men at college roughly 60 to 40%. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, those without college degrees are more likely to be unemployed. I've heard that before. So those with only a high school diploma have an unemployment rate of 3.9% compared to just 2.2% of those that achieved a bachelor's degree.
So it's true, like back in, 80s, 90s, whatever, when I was graduating high school in the 80s, everybody was talking about, okay, what college we're going to go to, what college we're going to, And I think all my friends went to college, but I know a few girls that didn't go to college, but now I think it's the opposite. A lot of girls are going to college, and some guys are just saying it's just not for me.
Yeah,
but it would be a fun place to go if it's 60-40. So if you have 60% girls and 40% guys, less competition.
Right.
That's the way I look at it.
Right, but I mean, this feels like it has a little bit of a political overtone to it.
But what's the point of this political overtone?
I don't know, because this is really, in my opinion, it's not saying anything, to be honest with you. It's just throwing out a few things. And the pandemic, they didn't answer anything. How does the pandemic affect anything?
There's another paragraph here, but I think the pandemic had a lot to do with it. People got used to working from home. During the pandemic, everything was shut down. Not Florida so much, but most places.
Right.
So everything got shut down, and then people went home and they worked off their computer and they worked from home, and they got spoiled.
I get that.
Okay. Now everybody has to go back to the office, but a lot of them are saying, this is too good for me. I don't want to work, or I'll start my own thing, online.
But they're working at least. See, because they're still working though.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean they're making money.
Well, they're working.
Okay, so since 1950, there's also been a growth in the United States in safety social net. That's true.
Yeah.
Before, in the 40s and 50s, if you didn't have a job, you're starving. Mm-hmm. Now there's a safety net. In the 1960s, only 455,000 workers had Social Security disability benefits. Well, the number grew exponentially to 7.6 million in 2022. If the jobs don't meet people's needs, people can't work, Yvonne said, a professor at Salem State University, an expert in changing the role of men in society.
Yeah.
It's not that they won't work. They can't given the job options, leaving the workforce due to their dissatisfaction with a capitalist society. Okay, it's a.
This is about Politics.
This is a.
All right, here we just hit the nail on the head here.
Okay, we figured it out.
Hey, all right.
This is capitalism. You know, this person's anti-capitalism.
Capitalism.
So, and I believe in capitalism. So, oops, I shouldn't say that on video.
Shame on you.
Many jobs are simply not satisfying. Of course, many jobs are not satisfying.
Look, I don't care. I loved my career, but there are certain days that your job just sucks. But I have to feed my family. I have to put food on the table. I have to pay my bills. You have to work. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I didn't want to do yesterday, and tomorrow I don't feel like working. But
look, all these safety nets go away if you don't have people who are working
and paying taxes
and pay taxes, contributing to the safety nets. So
that's working for others who get benefits off our physical labor, intellectual property is not rewarding either emotionally or financially.
Next article.
People want to work doing jobs that matter to us. We want to use our creativity. Oh, come on. We want to matter, and if businesses' employees simply don't get treated with the respect and support we need and want, people walk away from them.
Okay, I agree with that.
I agree with that.
I agree with that, 100%. You have to treat your employees the right way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, people are too sensitive these days. They are. They're too sensitive about politics. They're too sensitive. Why do I have to work the register for an extra 20 minutes when so-and-so doesn't have to work the register?
I don't want to hear the complaints. Like, if you tell me to move the rock pile from there to a rock pile there, you're paying me the same whether I'm not moving the rock pile or I'm moving the rock pile.
Okay, at the end,
who cares?
At the end of the day, okay, you have to work.
Yeah.
Because if nobody's working, things won't get done. Places won't get built, just roads won't get fixed.
Food doesn't show up at your favorite grocery store.
You know the part that they're saying, hey, let's do a 4-day work week or a 3-day? That's a big thing now.
Oh, I know.
A 4-day work week because we get tired,
Yeah.
So we need 3 days to rest in 4 days, okay? But the economy is going to suffer. And I really think that we're heading towards a cliff with the economy. I really do. And I know your different opinion on that, but I think you have a different opinion on that. But I think that this is the time that you have to work and save your money.
I agree with that.
Okay, you have to work, save your money, and come up with a plan. Because that leads us into the next article, which says more Americans are maxing out credit cards and failing to make payments than during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Because credit card debt is going
through the roof.
Through the roof.
It really is. It really is.
It is. So
saving accounts are dwindling down. Credit card debt's going up. But I mean, I get it. It's tough. It's tough out there. Food's expensive. Look, we just went to Publix and how much everything was. It's insane.
Yeah, which is a supermarket. Go ahead, read the first paragraph.
All right. The share of Americans who failed to make a payment on their credit card debt rose above levels seen during COVID-19 pandemic, led by those who have maxed out their credit lines, a report released Tuesday shows. The percentage of people who were behind on making their credit card debt payment for more than 90 days jumped to 10.7% in the first quarter of 24, higher than the pandemic high of 10% experienced in the first quarter of 2021. According to the report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the rise of delinquencies is being led by those with utilization rates between 90 and 100%, meaning they're utilizing 90 to 100% of their available credit on a credit card.
Isn't that crazy? And they're not going out and buying clothes or laptops. They're actually, some of them are taking cash advances to pay their rent.
Right.
Some of them are just buying food with it. They're buying the basics.
Yeah.
And then, then they're maxing out their credit card, so they try to get another credit card and transfer the balance, and they're stealing from Peter to pay Paul.
Right, and they're just flip-flopping them back and forth.
But this is all going to catch up.
Eventually, yeah. Yeah, I mean, something's got to be done. So, I mean, you can only work so many hours in a day.
Because if you look some of these people, how bad their economic situation is, okay, it's not as bad as the United States situation, because if you treated the United States government how they spend money as a person, you'd be like, I'm not lending them any money.
Right.
You know? So continue.
In the first quarter of 2024, credit card and auto loan transition rates into serious delinquencies continued to rise across all age groups. Joel Scally, regional economic principal at the New York Fed's Household and Public Policy Research Division. Ooh, that's a long name tag.
Well, at least you said it. I saw the long names, that's why I told you to read it.
Now I understand.
I'm horrible with names.
Said in the accompanying press release, an increasing number of borrowers missed credit card payments, revealing worsening financial distress among some households. Credit card delinquencies rose rapidly at the onset of COVID-19 pandemic, going from 8.4% in quarter 4 of 19 to 9.8% in quarter 2 of 2020, according to the report. Delinquencies rates then fell to 7.6% by third quarter of 22 as Americans grappled with a huge deluge of savings accumulated during pandemic due to stimulus checks and lockdown measures.
Let's talk about that.
Yep.
Everybody's savings went up because people wanted to buy stuff and nobody was selling the stuff because nobody was working.
Right.
Probably the young people. I'm kidding. But at the same time, so it was supply and demand. So there was demand, but no supply. Then when the pandemic lifted, everybody wanted to go on vacation. They wanted to buy this, and supplies came back, and and we caused a bunch of inflation because people were pouring a lot of money into it, including the government. So the problem is right now, okay, they're using up their savings.
Yep.
So now they're on credit cards. Mm-hmm. Okay, and eventually the banks aren't going to be giving out any more credit.
Right.
Especially with people defaulting. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm saying right now, if you could avoid putting balances on credit cards, because some of them, they're 20%.
Oh.
Store credit cards are like 30%.
Yeah, it's insane. It's insane when you look at that, the interest rates, and how much you pay a month, just in interest. It's crazy.
It is. So basically, with this whole thing, okay, and you can read the second one on there, but the cumulative amount of Americans that had reached an all-time peak of $6 trillion in April 2020, the start of COVID-19 pandemic, plummeting to just $500 billion by June 2022, because people had money and they were saving.
Right.
According to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, the balance rebounded to about $1 trillion in May of 2023, and since began declining, currently sitting at $671 billion as of March. Okay, the reason why a lot of this, and I read some of the other parts of some articles, is banks are pulling back credit. They're shutting off people's credit cards.
Right. Yeah. They're just, it's done.
Yeah.
It's closed. Yeah, because they're high risk.
Yeah. So of course, people's balances are going to go down because they have no credit to put it on.
Right. They have no card to put it on. The lending's going down because they got no credit.
So at the end of the day, if you could avoid using a credit card, avoid using a credit card.
Right, at all costs, if you can avoid it.
And I understand why people are using credit cards. They're going to be like, hey, we have to eat.
Right, of course.
And unemployment, unemployment's still low, but that's because people are taking second and third jobs and part-time jobs, and we won't get even into that for this one. But yeah, so young people, go to work.
Go to work.
And everybody else, save your money.
Exactly.
That's today's video.
All right.
Do me a favor, consider subscribing. It really helps out the channel, and it's greatly appreciated. Thank you. And sorry about the first part of this article, because it didn't make sense to me either.
All right, thanks. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, bye.